5 fits for Auburn now that Brian Harsin has left the crazy train on the plains. It is it's interesting to see where a lot of these, coaching searches will go. These are fits. These are not who they will hire or who they can hire or who will go there. These are people I think will fit there and can win there. Number 5, Deion Sanders. I think that this one, if he's going to make the jump into the SEC, this is a spot where I think he can win. I think he can hold off a lot of the noise for a little bit longer because he's Deion and he can kind of absorb it. He may not be the hero they deserve, but he might be the hero they need right now because he can kind of deal with all the noise because he is noise. And so, fighting fire with fire, and he can get people so excited that maybe they chill out for just a second because he is Deion Sanders. Now, I don't know how that will translate to the SEC, but so far what he's doing at Jackson State bears looking at if you are a Power 5 program, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I don't know if he wants to deal with that, but he seems to be, he used to be drama. And still
he
can
still
be.
Is probably.
Yeah, and he's.
Yeah, but what are we talking about? We're talking about different types of drama. What is he drama compared to a bunch of boosters that want their say? You think he's going to sit? He's going to have to take that eventually wherever he goes, whether he's at Alabama or Auburn or at JSU. Like, you still have to deal with boosters, but there are plenty of gigs out there for him to choose from. He doesn't have to be in a hurry to go just take the first, job that lines up. And clearly he wasn't. He's probably has some opportunities that we aren't aware of. I don't know, man. I think he could do well there, but I just don't know how much. I don't know how much I see him as like a great fit there for some reason. I don't know. I totally get why they would be interested. I totally get why he would be interested, but I just don't see this being his big launching point. And maybe I'm wrong. And wherever he goes, it's going to be fascinating. But
maybe he shouldn't. Maybe
he shouldn't. Yeah, I don't know.
So, I've heard a lot of people, early on when we talked about this, about him and Georgia Tech because of the Atlanta connections. That's not where he needs to be. Georgia Tech's not his vibe. No, he does need to be in a place like in Auburn that, he can plug in all that amplification that he has and go, but it may not be specifically Auburn, but I do think that they should at least give him a look.
I think they should kick the tires. I just don't think it's a real fit.
Yeah, and I bet you he'll probably figure that out.
Yeah, for sure. He's smart.
Number 4, Bill Clark, retired because of back issues, but seems back in. Did a fantastic job rebuilding the UAB program out of it being canceled. He says he feels like he's healthy again. He's, from Alabama. He is in that. He probably knows how to, navigate that river a little bit better. And look, the guy's a good coach. And sometimes, while this might be kind of boring when it comes to it, Auburn might need a little bit of boring for a little while. Like, boring might be good.
Yeah, I think in terms of fits and what you're talking about, I think that would be ideal just on its surface. But I think what they're probably going for is, wanting to pack a bit more punch than that. I don't know that you get everybody he could probably do well in theory there, but is it going to make any type of a ripple really? Yeah. Is it going to make a big push in recruiting? Is that going to be one that gets the kids excited? I don't know about that part of it. So I would think that familiarity-wise and all that, he'd be a solid choice, but I just don't know if that's a big enough swing for them to take with this one right here.
Yeah. Number 3, Mark Stoops, and this is where you start kind of hunting your own in the SEC here. He's done a great job at Kentucky, but he did run up against the whole, there's a 800-pound gorilla in the room that is around orange ball, and a coach that had no problem saying it and then had to back off when he got called out. But John Calipari didn't wake up and change his mind that basketball should be paid attention to more than football. That didn't happen. Bruce Pearl would be an easy basketball coach to work with. I think that he's, while he's got a big personality, he's not braggadocious enough to say that like John Calipari would. And maybe you get to the point where you think this is what I can do at Kentucky. I don't think that's in the Stoops family DNA. I think they're long haulers. I think that's clear with what Bob did at Oklahoma. But, it wouldn't surprise me to see them go ask about a guy who is, and here's the thing, while he's a bigger name and a bigger splash than Bill Clark, still kind of boring. which is what they need. He's very straightforward. Bob Stoops, Mark Stoops, the Stoops family, they're straightforward. That's what Auburn needs, is somebody who is this way.
Yeah, you know, like Bill Clark, especially, and now even Mark Stoops as well. This reminds me of, like, you know, when Texas has a job come open, you go like, this is who they should talk to versus like who they actually will talk to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like these would all be super solid, just football head coaching hires, but all the other stuff from like recruiting and fundraising and, you know, NIL and all that jet transfer, you know. Like, it's almost feel you got to have a little something to you. Mark Stoops, I mean, he's clearly done really well at Kentucky, and you know, it's so weird how incestuous the SEC can be as far as the coaching movement. Sometimes it feels like, but I mean, yeah, I mean, he's proven himself at a place where not a lot of people have been able to prove themselves, and has done a great job there. So I think if Auburn were to go that route, I don't know that it would make the biggest splash per se, and maybe that's not ultimately what they're wanting, is the biggest splash. But I mean, you couldn't say like this is a bad hire, clearly, because of what he's done there with Kentucky. So. Yeah.
Incest in the states of Kentucky, Alabama, and Mississippi, you
here-
say?
Yeah, I was hoping you'd avoid that. The chat, that's not me.
Some
That
of the
was
chat,
me.
by the way, Roger Dodger, Auburn has little man syndrome.
Yeah.
Sir blah, blah, blah. Clark definitely knows the state of Alabama.
Oh, yeah.
Roger Dodger, Auburn should be happy with 7 to 9 wins as always, a year as usual. Auburn isn't little man, having won multiple national championships. Little brother, yes, but not little man.
Yeah, I think that's a good correction there. Number 2, now we're going to get wild. Lane Kiffin. This is a guy, look, if you want somebody to deal with the circus, get a ringmaster. And that's what Lane Kiffin certainly is. And he's a guy who can, I'm starting to respect the game a little bit with him a little bit more and more. I don't know if I'll ever fully like him, but I do like that he is not going to be anybody's punching bag, and that's also kind of what they need at Auburn, that he can kind of roll with all that stuff. You know, I'm sure he's, you know, gets up in the morning and looks at that golf ball that chucked at him at Tennessee last year and gets motivated. That's what Lane Kiffin is. So I think that could work out for them. But again, this is the SEC having to go to Ole Miss and money whip a guy out of there, and they're already spending $41 million on the last 2 coaches.
Well, I mean, you're going to have to
Yeah.
That's the choice you made. You made the decision to spend tens of millions of dollars just to be in a position to go hire another guy for tens of millions of dollars. And if you want Lane Kiffin, then you're going to be spending tens of millions of dollars. I mean, yeah, he checks a lot of boxes, if not all of them. He's doing, you know, obviously a really great job at Ole Miss. They're highly relevant, has switched up his styles, has gone to, you know, more of a run look this year than what we saw from them previously, and, you know, having some success doing that. He's a great football coach. I mean, he is a really smart dude. I've grown, you know, more in terms of liking him the last few years as he's, I think, gotten older and more mature, and he's still kind of quirky in his own way, but that's what makes him Lane Kiffin. And so, yeah, he's always going to be somewhat level of controversial, I think, for college football fans, just because of like his past. I think we all remember him for like those reasons, but I think we've all seen how far he's come and what a great job he's done and what a great coach he is. And yeah, if he decided to make that move, I think that'd be a huge hire for Auburn.
Yeah. On the chat room, on by the way, the multiple national titles, 1957 and 2010 is not winning natties a lot. There were a couple of years, what was it, 93 or 90 whatever, and they had that 2004 team that had the great run.
Yeah,
but they didn't win the actual national title. They do have 3 Heisman Trophy winners, though, with Pat Sullivan, Bo Jackson, and, of course, Cam Newton.
Did they not split a title? In the early I guess I'm thinking of something else then. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Number 1, and this guy, I just don't think it's going to happen. I agree with Tim Brando. But number 1, Hugh Freeze. This is a dude who can win in the SEC. He proved he can win in the SEC. He's at Liberty right now, and winning at Liberty. He can coach ball, but you are getting a very, I'll say again, to put it mildly, because I'm trying to be professional here, but dichotomous person here. And to me, he's a little bit in the Urban Meyer mode. And I don't think that the SEC, in particular, maybe even Greg Sankey, is nuts about having Hugh Freeze back in his league.
Let's not act like all their coaches are like
No. But
I know.
We know about Hugh Freeze, and that's what would make me feel uncomfortable.
How long has it been since he got himself sideways?
Well, it's been 4 or 5 years. Okay. So, but I don't know. He went to a place that was run by some sideways people. I don't know.
What are you talking about, Liberty?
Liberty, the Falwells, and it just, I don't know. I'm uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable if I'm anyone throwing my full support behind Hugh Freeze.
Auburn wants to win freaking football games.
But waiting for the other shoe to drop.
I want to watch the college football playoff rankings here, and they're dropping right now.
Okay,
Hugh Freeze, he's a weirdo to me. Like, he's a great football coach. I don't like his personality. I don't like his fake preacher stuff. I wouldn't be happy. I mean, like, from a full wins, losses, sure. All the rest of it, I could leave it. But I'm not an Auburn fan, so, if that's what they want, then maybe that's what they get.
All right, thank you. Our retired stockbroker,